Javon coming along? I know he said he had to get his legs back underneath him. Do you feel that's been making progress?
I think Javon he's been doing a really nice job in there, just taking his time of really, ramping himself back up. So the biggest emphasis for him has just been on his technique. And I feel like he's done a really nice job these past couple of days of going in and playing with low pads, using his hands inside and making plays in the backfield. So he's doing really good of being focused on the small details of his job, which will allow him to be a very dominant player inside for us.
After one there, was that a run stop, I think, that he was excited about there?
A run stop in the backfield where he had, again, an excellent technique, which allows him to make plays. And that's the biggest thing for him now that he's feeling much better. Now it's just the emphasis on those techniques, which will allow him to be a dominant player. He keeps doing what he's doing, and he's in a really good space. He's bringing energy to our group. He's physical, he's looking good out there, in good shape, getting his legs back under him. And I'm excited to see him just continue to progress and looking forward to him having a big year for us because it'll be really vital, for us to have really dominant players inside. That's what helps our defense perform the way we perform is those inside players. So having Javon and having Eric inside will be huge for us.
You mentioned technique with him a lot, obviously. Is the pad level and him being, in the past anyway, him being too high, is that the biggest coaching point?
I think that's one of the main points at any position, but especially inside interior D-line. If you play too high, right, you're going to get drove out of there, and they're going to reset the line of scrimmage from the offensive perspective. So we want guys attacking, knocking back, and resetting the line of scrimmage so we can force guys to get TFLs. So if our interior guys are doing that, if they're playing low, they can do that. You play too high, you don't have any power. You can't play with the power that you need if you're playing with high, and that's any position on the football field.
Was there a teammate you had in front of you that was particularly good? Maybe you even say, hey, look at this guy, what he used to do to Javon?
Yeah, a lot of good teammates. Fletcher Cox, J.J. Watt, those are two good ones that played in front of me. And they're really great player, talented guys, but those guys, just like J.K., all those guys, they put in the work, put in the work on their technique, and they're also just some things you can't coach. It's just, God-given ability for a lot of those guys, and J.K. definitely has it.
Kerry Hyder's been out there with the ones a lot. Does he look like he did before when he was here?
Kerry does, it's so great to have Kerry. Just first and foremost, the guy that he is, the man that he is off the field. All right, he's an unbelievable person, unbelievable teammate and leader, and Kerry's a very, very smart player. All right, so he makes plays that you think he wouldn't make. He makes those plays just because he's very smart out there. And the ability of what Kerry has is he can play in, he can play tackle, like he can move up and down the defensive line at any position. And he's smart enough to where he won't bust. He's a guy who never makes mistakes inside, no matter where you put him. Yeah, he's always on it, and he's always leading that group and bringing guys along with him. Like a true veteran leader, like Kerry Hyder is the epitome of that. And we're excited to have him back. After he left us in 20, you're excited to have him back just for his leadership.
Can you shed some light on your second-year defensive players and maybe who stands out among that group?
Second-year players, I think the one guy right now that stands out to me is Huff. I think Huff has been doing an excellent job. Back in OTAs when we started, even up until now, he's been doing a good job of just communicating much better. Right, being a safety position, we asked a lot of those guys to communicate and to run the show, making calls and making checks on the back end and making sure everybody is on the same page. So I think he's taken a step there with the communication of running the show and still has a way to go. He's still getting better, but I'm happy with the progress that he's made from the spring up until now.
With Yamamoto and Ambry, are they where you want them to be right now?
I think with Demo and Ambry, with those guys, they're still learning, right? They're still learning. They're still growing, right? They have a lot to improve with their technique, right? And they have to continue to show us that they have to show their teammates that they are headed in the right direction. They are improving, right? And they are headed in they are doing good things, but they still have improvement, still need to keep bringing it.
Into your second year as defensive coordinator, if you can go back a year ago, did you give any thought about coaching from a booth? And then how much more, seasoned are you with the role being on the field as a DC calling plays instead?
I think for me, naturally, just calling it as a player for 10 years, I've always been on the field. So I never thought about going up in the booth. And I'm just more comfortable being down on the field, being there to talk to the guys just face to face if something happens. So that's my comfort level. And I felt it went fairly well because I have good coaches up in the booth that helps me out. They're doing a great job of communicating. Coach Bullock's, all right, he does a really good job of communicating to me from the booth. So having good people around you helps, and I'm happy to have those guys on our staff who can help me out there. And just second year for me, it's been fun. You know, second year just going through it a second time. I think it's just like with players, like that second year, you should be a little bit better. You should be a little more comfortable with what you're doing, understanding what's coming, understanding how to plan and prep better, put guys in better positions. So it's all about getting the reps for me, just like the players. Get reps and you get better. So that's what, I feel more comfortable doing it, but I'm always trying to learn more, always trying to be, the best that I can be at my job.
Looking back to your first season, did you have a favorite game in retrospect as far as the chess match went? You getting the calls on those plays, going back and forth with other play callers?
Favorite? All the ones we won, that would be a favorite. No, I think my favorite games were when it matters most. I think it's the playoff games. Those are the ones, versus Dallas, Green Bay, and even the Rams. Unfortunately, we didn't close it out like we wanted to, but those are my favorite games. Just being in those moments with the guys that we have. Those were just special moments that a lot of people dream of. A lot of people never even make it to the playoffs. So it was a fun moment to be in the playoffs and to be, have a successful group throughout the playoffs. So all of those will be, moments I always remember.
I saw you chatting with Debo Samuel during practice a little bit. Does he come to you and talk to you about defensive schemes at all, or just personal chatting?
Just personal chatting. I think Debo is a guy who he can talk to anyone. Like, he's a very personable guy. He's fun to be around. He brings great energy to our team, and I just love just talking to him. And it's not always ball. Most of the time I'm talking to guys, it's about life just off the field. That's the things that matter most to me, like what's going on with guys off the field. How are their families and kids? How are all those things going? That's the important stuff.
Can you explain what it means to you to have a defensive line with a lot of depth that are all capable of getting in the game? Because when DeForest Buckner first got here, as a rookie, I think he played 99% of the snaps. How much does it mean to you to not have to do that?
I think D-line depth is huge, right? Because for me, that's the group that drives everything we do defensively. So we need as much depth as possible, and those are some of the guys who unfortunately go through a lot of, nicks and bumps along the way throughout camp. So you want to have enough depth there to keep guys rolling, and you want to keep those guys fresh. That's the biggest thing. If you can rush the passer in waves, not just one guy or two guys, but if we can rush the passer in waves where guys are always fresh coming in, it gives us a competitive advantage. So having depth there is huge for our success.
Extra pride when three linebackers get interceptions in a practice, and what's reflective of that in terms of how they're playing?
I think with the linebackers, it's reflective of Coach Johnny Holland and Coach Nick Sorensen just working with those guys daily, just continue to work the ball drills, work keys, where their eyes, being in the proper position. It's a credit to the coaches and credit to the players for putting in the work and going up and making plays. Everyone gets excited when we execute and we make plays. So today, guys had a really good practice. I felt the energy there because, guys executed. And that does spark energy for everyone, the entire team.
It seems like you guys have more capable NFL quality edge rushers than you can keep on the roster. Is that accurate? And when you're trying to figure out who's going to stick, does some level of versatility, help guys like maybe a hider who can do both?
I think it's always a luxury when you have guys who are on your team, right, who are capable NFL players. So if it comes down to a tough decision, it's a tough decision to make, but you're happy to make a tough decision and not have that decision made before, you even go through any games. So we still I've always learned in my few years of coaching here is just you always just let it play out. And once we play the games and it always works itself out to the guys who should be here on our team will end up on our team, and we'll get the best, however many guys that is we need for our defensive line. We'll have the top guys that we want. And the versatility part, like you said, is huge, right? If we have a guy who can move inside, move outside, can do multiple things, then that gives that guy an advantage to be up on game day. If the guy has special teams value, right, the more you can do, right, it's the better chance you have of making it.
Your shirt and the 49ers staff wearing our Dwight Clark shirts. Can you just talk about how nostalgic this franchise is?
Yeah, I think, growing up, it's watching NFL football growing up, the Niners were always that premier organization, right? They're all felt like they were in the Super Bowl every year when we watched the Super Bowl. So being able to work for such a storied franchise, just when you see guys, Montana Rice, right, Dwight Clark, Bryant Young, just so many guys I watched growing up, it's you kind of take a step back and it's almost like a wow moment, like, wow, I can't believe I'm here, working with the Niners. It's a special moment, and it's an honor, it's a blessing to work for the Niners just because of all the rich history that you have here. Not every NFL team is in that position to have, so many legends, to be a part of the organization. So it is a special day to honor Dwight Clark and all that he's done, all that he meant to the 49er organization. I'm honored to wear the shirt and represent him today.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
10 practices this camp?
I would say just where I'm at, like physically, being able to come out there for 10 days in a row and just be able to be the same person from day one to even today.
Kyle had talked about just the violence that you need to run routes with in the NFL and how it takes a toll on the body and how you can now do that. Is that some of what you're talking about when you're saying you can maintain your performance?
Yeah, just in this offense, it takes a lot, especially to Kyle's standard, to come out here every single day and run routes the way that he wants them to, and the receivers want them. I mean, the receiver coach and the quarterbacks want us to run our routes. So it takes a lot on the body to come out here every single day and do that. So, yeah, definitely.
We haven't talked to you since Debo's been back out there. What has he done energy-wise just to have him there?
Debo, he's like an enforcer. Everybody knows that when Debo's out on the field, you could just kind of feel a different energy. He was that guy during the season just to give us a physical or any type of play to get us kind of going. So just having him back out there just feels like we're complete again, and now we're ready to start building.
What's the biggest thing you've learned going against Travis Ward on the field?
He's long, fast, strong, physical corner. But just like any corner, you gotta study him, you gotta look at him. So now that we've got to go against each other a couple of days, all these corners, it's like a chess match, just switching up techniques. We get to look at them and see what they like to do, what they don't like to do, where they're comfortable, where they're uncomfortable, and the same for them. They get to look at us the same way. So once you get into the deep days at camp, it becomes a chess match, and you're just really working, and now it becomes real football, one-on-one, corner versus receiver matchups.
After practice, do you go and chat him up and talk to him about what things happen on the field, like how things work out?
We talk to those guys all the time. You walk in the locker room right now, everybody has their iPads open, looking at film, E-Man, Jimmy Ward coming over to us, talking about certain plays, even the young corners too. So, yeah, we're talking about all the time. We go out there and compete, but when we get back in the locker room, we're all just looking to get better and find ways that we can do so.
How does Trey respond from a practice like that where he's off the mark a day after he finished so strong yesterday? What do you see out of Trey when he's?
I think after, like the best thing about Trey, like he walked off the practice field and he was still the exact same way today. He talked about it, talked to us after a couple plays that he wished he had it back. He comes and talks to us the same way as if he were to hit a play. What did he see, what he didn't see, what he liked. That was on me. That was maybe we should be here. Just still talking to us, trying to figure it out. But just level, even kill dude. So we don't worry about him at all, really. We'll look at it. He comes in, he says, let's take a look at it later on today. We do so, and then we move on. That's what practice is for, day 10. You don't know what you don't know. I mean, one thing I've learned is that you never know what these guys' arms feel like. The same way for us. Like, we go out there, some days our legs are tired. They may expect us to break out a route and come out of our breaks a lot faster than we did, and our legs are a little bit tired, so we can't do so. So the same thing for them. We feel like it's something that I learned. I get to see that you never know what those guys' arms are feeling like. They're coming out here and they're throwing a bunch of balls. So we just got to look at it, get it corrected, and then come back, get a day off, and get better.
Brandon, Ray's camp has just been ramping up throughout this camp. Had the touchdown pass yesterday, great one-handed grab today. Just what kind of growth have you seen in him?
Yeah, just middle of camp or a couple days into camp, you start to see guys get comfortable in the offense, know what they're doing, and just play at a different speed. So I think Ray's he had a great couple days. You could just see the quickness, the speed, just able to run every single route, able to run deep down the field, and you're starting to see that. He had a great catch on the sideline today. But we're all just looking to build. We love watching him make plays. And like I said, we have a great room, so we're excited to see Ray keep on going.
Brandon, with what happened in practice the other day, how much of that for you was just trying to maybe jumpstart the offense, and how much was maybe something that actually annoyed you on the field?
What happened in practice the other day? Waiting on that one. Just middle of camp. everybody's competitors out there. I'm tired of seeing them. I like playing with them because for certain reasons like that, we talk about it all the time. We got into an argument the other day about how if the offense played the defense, we would beat the brakes off them. So we talked. I mean, I think they felt that a little bit because the day after practice, they came with it, we came with it. But it's just like that's just how we play. When you turn on the tape and you watch the Niners, nobody's backing down to anybody. So I feel like when we go against each other and people butt heads, that's what happens. I'm not backing down. He's not backing down. But at the end of the day, that's my brother when we go back in the locker room. That's my brother when we leave. That's my brother. So it is what it is. We moved on. But it got the pads going. You know, Kyle talked about us being back out there in pads again today. Just we need a little bit more. We need a little bit more. So I think we start to see the pads starting to wake up a little bit more and just the energy out there a little bit more.
Danny Gray has said he noticed that Kyle is particularly demanding of his wide receivers, and obviously you know that. Have you been able to help him, or as he goes through inevitable growing pains as a rookie in training camp?
Yeah, it's nice to have another receiver that Kyle can annoy and leave me alone. But of course, I'll talk to him especially, just because I know exactly what he's feeling. All those guys, I know exactly what they're going through. Just trying to give them pointers on just little details, little things that could kind of make their transition a little bit smoother. Because when you don't have that, you don't know what you don't know. So, but it takes a couple times. It takes you messing up. It takes you doing something wrong. It takes you getting chewed out. It takes you getting yelled at by the coach, the quarterback, all the above to kind of figure it out. Because it sticks that way. So I'll try to fit in sometimes where I can, but let them figure it out too at the same time.
You have good chemistry, timing with Trey Lance. It seems like he really trusts you and has a good feel for when you're going to make a break.
Yeah, of course. We feel like just throughout the offseason, the spring OTAs, and throughout the rest of the offseason, we got to build on what we put together in the spring. So he has a good feel of where I'm going to be at when I come out on my breaks. Yes, I have a good feel for where the ball might be. But it all comes back to everything that we talk about, getting out of our breaks, being violent at the top of our routes. And it makes it a lot easier when we do so. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys. Jake, Brent.
Good. How's your camp been so far?
It's been going well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's things to work on, but every single day you just have to go out there and try to improve and not make the same mistakes twice, you know?
It would seem like this is a really good opportunity for you, maybe the best opportunity you've had in your career. Would you agree with that? And is that more excitement, pressure, or a little bit of both?
I feel like every single day is kind of a blessing to be here. You know, I can't look at it as more than that, to be honest. I've had a lot of great opportunities in the past 6 years. So, you know, just being able to continue my career here in this scheme, in this offense, on this team, you know, it really is a blessing.
What are some of the challenges of having to rotate with Danny and the first team throughout camp like this?
I don't think there's really any challenges. Really, it's just, you know, it's kind of the same thing as last season with Alex Mack, you know. You just kind of have to take the opportunities that you have, make sure you make your best of them, and then, you know, just kind of play that role, and hopefully the coaching staff and the front office can, you know, establish who's the best guy to be out there.
Did your previous experience with Chris Verster help your transition coming here?
For sure. You know, it's honestly, I mean, it's always good to have a relationship with your coaches. You know, he back in Miami, you know, we had a great relationship back then. I think he was part of the reason why I was there, and I think that's the same thing here.
How have you been going up against the interior of the defensive line here?
Oh yeah, there are definitely some beasts here. Honestly, I feel like we're going against the best front that, you know, there is in this league every single day. So that's great practice for us, and you know, it just gets us ready for Sundays.
Being the second team center last year with Trey being the second team QB most of the year, Is there a tangible kind of benefit that you got with snapping chemistry and stuff with him over the course of that season?
For sure. Yeah, and anytime you get reps with a quarterback, that's banked, and being able to go through that entire season, pretty much working exclusively with him, was great. I really feel like our connection has solidified over the past 2 seasons.
Trey just turned 22 a few months ago. What have you seen from a quarterback in that position, that young, having to lead an offense full of some real vets?
It's been honestly really impressive this past 3 weeks. He has really come into his own. He has a good handle of the offense. He has a good understanding of kind of where his role is on the team, and he gets every single person on the offense in the right position. So it's pretty impressive.
Awesome. All right, appreciate it, Jay.
Thank you.